welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt here with Louis D'Souza on this Monday, October the 14th, 2019. It is 4 p.m. New York time, 1 p.m. Los Angeles, 9 p.m. in London, 5 a.m. in Tokyo, and 6 a.m. in Sydney, Australia. But wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And I'm happy to be getting this week started doing podcasts again after a couple days off, and I hope my friend Louis is likewise in a good space. How are you doing today, my friend?
Excellent, thanks. Yeah, really good.
That's a good way to be. I like it. And I have actually a couple of, well, at least I have one personal story to tell, because we always like manifestation stories, right? They're always fun. And so I have a manifestation story of my own to tell, and possibly one to share that I just saw on Facebook that might be kind of fun. So I figure let's get that started. It happened today. Well, I should say we experienced it today. How about that? We experienced the onset of it today. But
who's we?
We being Louise and me.
Okay.
My wife. And yeah, we have for quite some time now been wanting to attract a new home into our lives despite financial difficulties. And I can't say that the new home is what we attracted, but one of the reasons that we were trying to attract a new home is the apartment we're currently living in is the first of a two-story condo-type townhouse-style apartment. And upstairs from us, directly over our bedroom, is construction that was done so poorly that anyone who walks across the floor goes creak, 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 creak. I mean, it's really loud. And all the person upstairs has to do is go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and we're awake because it's very, very loud. And we've mentioned it, even complained about it to the supervisor of maintenance and to the landlord and so forth, and to no avail. And so it was one of our reasons for wanting to leave. Well, just today I went out to do my nature walk, and my wife was outside, and she was doing a little sunbathing because we had a nice spot of warm weather this afternoon. And as I'm walking by, she says, "You won't believe what happened." And I said, "What?" And she says, "Curtis, who's our maintenance supervisor, stopped by to tell me that they were going, well, first of all, we knew that the apartment upstairs had been vacated. The tenant who was there had moved out. And Curtis told us that they were going to rip out the carpet upstairs so that they could screw the floor into the joists, into the studs upstairs to eliminate the creaking because they had finally realized how noisy the whole thing was. And the cool part is we hadn't asked them. And I like that one.
You had asked mentally in the past.
We had, yes. Many times,
manifesting.
Actually.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Because you've probably forgotten about it now for a few months.
Well, I can't say we've forgotten about it. Actually, when the tenant upstairs moved, which was at the end of September, we were celebrating. So that actually helped the vibration quite a bit because we knew that at least for the next month or so, it was going to be really, really quiet at night. But now we've learned that it's going to be quiet ongoing until we're able to find our own home to move to and live in. So it's good news today. And
great.
I especially love the fact that we didn't actually ask for it any time recently. I think the last time either of us mentioned anything was, I don't know, a year ago. I mean, it's been quite some time. So the universe took care of it for us, and I love that.
And it's silent now?
Well, it's silent right now because there are no tenants upstairs.
So you don't know how good a job they've done yet?
Well, they haven't done the job yet.
Okay.
He was letting her know that was the plan to do this before they got another tenant in.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So at some point we're going to hear, ripping sounds and cutting sounds and all that, but that'll be during the day when we can tolerate that, because it won't be in the middle of the night. But yeah, we're going to be able to sleep clear through the night every night without being awakened by somebody going to the bathroom.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's a small thing, but it's a big thing. Yeah.
It's one of those things that you're right. It's a small thing, but it's not so small when you live with it. I mean, anyone who's ever, for instance, gone through sleep research, where they're waking you every hour, every half hour or so, or anyone who's ever dealt with a baby, and the baby's waking every hour, every 2 hours, or, when you become sleep deprived because you're constantly being awakened, it gets to you.
Oh, wow. I learned that in the army. Gosh, that was horrible. Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You're ironing till 1 o'clock in the morning, and then they throw sand down your your corridor at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then you've got to clean that all up and be ready by 7 o'clock for inspection.
Yes, lovely. You find out who your friends really are.
Oh gosh, I remember saying, if I ever see this corporal in civilian life, I'm going to face him.
I gotta ask.
I never did see him.
I'm willing to bet that sometime relatively shortly after that, you started learning about spiritual stuff and law of attraction and all that, and realized, no, that's probably not the best thing for me to attract.
No. I was focused on spiritual things long before that, but the law of attraction is completely different to a lot of that spiritual study that I did. It's cheese and chalk. I mean, I can't believe the level of clarity, that Abram Hicks LOA has done versus the spirituality that has taught me over the years. It's just very different.
What do you think is the one largest, most standing out difference between the two, the one that really resonates the most with you?
Well, the one is it's not linked to anybody telling me that they're the only way.
Yeah, that's always a good thing. I'm with you there for sure.
That it's open for you to interpret it very much as you want. And it's extremely simple, I suppose. Those are the main things. It's
That's
so
right.
simple that it's very almost difficult to believe.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it is hard to believe, but that's one of the things that I've been paying a lot of attention to lately, and that is not just, that's what I would call a cool manifestation. That's like really, really cool. But not just the cool ones, but also the everyday, normal, just stuff shows up manifestations. For instance, here's another one that happened, and this also happened today. It had kind of developed over the last few days, but the bank that Louise and I use got purchased by another bank. It was a takeover. And so we were in the process of shifting, checking accounts and debit cards and all that kind of stuff over to the new bank. Well, over the weekend, Louise realized that her new personal debit card and her new debit cards for the business account were missing. And we aren't quite sure when they went missing. It may have been around the time the cleaning people were here, so it gave us a little bit of discomfort. But here in the U.S., I don't know how things work in the U.K., but here in the U.S., typically if you need to replace your debit cards, they have to place an order, and then they'll come in the mail in the next 3 to 5, 7 business days, something like that. There's the PIN number that comes and all that kind of thing. And Louise was not looking forward to that at all because we're still in season, and we're actually starting to wrap up the season, so we don't really need to deal with that. But we called in, told them, okay, the cards are gone. They canceled the cards and so forth, and they said, oh, by the way, you can go into the bank now, into the branch, and they'll give you a new card right then and there. And we said, well, dang, that's cool. So there's another example of an unexpected manifestation, something really working out better than I could have expected, better than she could have expected.
Yeah, I had a little bit of an interesting manifestation today because I went to go pick up the students, and I was feeling excited. I said, I don't know who or what I'm going to bump into, but it just feels really exciting. And then, we got 3 Dutch girls, and they were brilliant. One is a Rudolf Steiner, brought up in the Rudolf Steiner school system.
Wow.
And, the other 2 were interested in understanding life and why they're here and all the rest of it. So, it was just like, wow, this is just so amazing that I can start picking it up before I arrive now quite easily.
That is good. Yeah,
and it's becoming more and more consistent. I know that, these are going to be people that I'm not going to be interacting with a lot. These are going to be people I'm going to be interacting with in this way. And, when I feel excited, which is not that common, it's not that often, it really excites me even more because I was like, well, what are these people going to be like? This is going to be really something new and different and exciting and, challenging and special. So I always look for that because, it's people in your life that make your life.
That's true.
It's as simple as that. And there's some beautiful people out in the world. There's some really, really nice people.
That is very, very true. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. The appreciation part is huge. I don't know if you were necessarily specifically consciously thinking of it in terms of being appreciative, but that's exactly what you were doing. You were being
Yeah. I think people labor appreciation instead of just appreciating.
Yes, no kidding. Yes, and I'm raising my hand because I've done that many times.
Yeah. So, I would never think in terms of actively being, grateful or appreciative. I would just think of the naturalness of being myself, kind of more, it kind of just turns out that way. And then, you pointed out to me and I didn't even think about it, It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, is that what I was doing?
That's right. Oh, yes. Hey. It's true.
But, it's really exciting because, just recently, how many times in the sauna I just manifested individuals. I don't know if I told you about the one guy, but he sat and chatted to me for about 2 to 3 hours.
Wow, yeah.
He was totally interested. He was aware. He was asking interesting questions and all the rest of it. And halfway through, he started saying to me, Louis, everybody should be taught this. Everybody should be taught this.
Wow.
And he said they should be forced to be taught this. And I said, okay, I have a room over there with some electric wires and all the rest of it. You're going to be the first one, and I'm going to force it into you. And, it was really interesting that somebody perceived so clearly what I could share and ran with it, and to the degree that they wanted to now teach it themselves and be a living example of it and force others to do the same.
Well, I just have this image of Dr. Frankenstein working at his table saying, live, live, live.
I said to him, you understand that the way I've presented it to you is I don't care if you believe me or not. And do you feel the power of that? Do you really feel the power of not being cajoled, forced, whatever, into agreeing with me in any shape or form? Do you not feel the power of that? He was like, but you should force them.
You should force them. Oh, jeez.
It was the most amazing conversation that I've had for a while, because I could lead him from one step to another, in incredibly short periods of time, And I said to him, I've already taught you enough that you can sustain your entire rest of your life based on this philosophy that I've given you. And I can see the clarity with which you understand it, and you can run with it. And I say I'll probably never bump into you again in my life, and I probably won't. I don't feel that kind of bond with that individual. So, it's really interesting how quickly you can take somebody from, zero to hero.
Ooh, I like that. Zero to hero. Very nice. Yeah, that's good. Well, it is amazing, but also the other part that's interesting, I won't call it amazing, is that throughout most of that conversation, he evidently had very, very, very little resistance to what you were talking about.
Yes.
But
I create those individuals to come to me.
Well,
I'm very clear about that. Those are the kind of individuals that I want, because it's the Abraham Hicks thing, isn't it? It's like they choose people based on the ease with which they can go from where they are to the next vibrational level. So,
yeah, but by the same token, even though he had low resistance, and this is the part that I wanted to point at, even he had his own resistance, and his own particular case, the one that came out was, I resist the idea that people should just be allowed to discover this in their own way. No, it has to be forced on them. Which is, it's both comic and it makes sense, because that's who we are. We are human beings.
But when you see a really good movie, Walt, you really want to tell everybody, you must go see this movie.
Yeah, that's right. That's pretty much what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be more complicated than that, because I realize when you're a salesman, that's exactly how it works. You're going to a product you like, and then you go in to tell people how much you like it. And
that's right.
That's what a salesperson is. And, if you understand that, you understand sales, because it's done naturally and it's done from the heart, and it's done with the clarity that you're passionate about it, and that's all you want to talk about. And, that's it. So, people have still got the choice not to listen to you or to go away, and that's always going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
But I wish I understood this law of attraction clearer when I started my network marketing company, because it would have made a huge difference.
I wish I had understood all this stuff when I was in my teens. I mean, my life would... They say that when you go through trials and tribulations and difficulties, it makes you stronger, and it does. And when you go through struggle, you actually come out better at the other end, and you look at it like, I wouldn't have wanted to do it any differently. And I'm here to tell you, absolutely not. That's not exactly how I feel at all. I mean, I really wish I could have done it differently. In fact, I am lately taking on the Neville Goddard concept, not just Neville, other people too, of doing what he calls the pruning shears revision, basically changing what I remember about how it was like. Because, yeah, sure, I was stronger coming through all that, but does that mean that was the only way I could have come out stronger? I don't think so. I don't buy into that theory. I mean, this is one of the few areas where Joel Elston and I disagree. He's very strong on the idea of when you come through that struggle, you're always going to be stronger, and that's why the struggle should be celebrated and so forth. And I respect his viewpoint on that. I respect it a lot. But I don't believe that is the only way. And I'm not even sure he thinks it's the only way, to be honest. But I just don't think you have to go through this particular path in order to acquire whatever that strength is or that skill is or whatever it is you're getting out of it. So would I have changed? Yeah, I would have changed it. I would have done things differently. But here's the rub. I wouldn't. I'm not looking at that with, oh God, I'm so upset that I didn't do things differently. I'm looking at it as, wow, I would have done things differently.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
big difference.
There's a big difference there. Yeah. One is wistful and painful and, oh, geez. Oh. The other one is, whoa, wouldn't it be great if?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's the past is really becoming the past.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think much about it anymore, and it just lands up being history. If I've got some good stories which help explain how people can change, because that's what I'm excited about doing, helping people become more aware of life, the universe, and everything, and how it all works and fits together. If I've got some great stories from the past, I've polished them up, I've present them well, and I just go out there and I use them, and I use them again and again. And, as long as they're working for me, I will continue using them. But I don't think much about the past anymore. The past is just the past. I don't even consider it.
I can't say I spend a lot of time on it. Where I see it as being valuable to me is any opportunity that I have to practice imagining is what I really am looking for. Basically, creating what has not yet been there, or what was not there before, even. So, I mean, when I first started with all of this, that seemed impossible. Now it's like it's a challenge. Like, whoa, I know that would be really hard to reimagine, but by God, let me see if I can do it anyway. And then when I succeed, it's like, oh, I did it. So, is that struggle? I don't see it as struggle. Maybe some other people might. To me, that's challenge. That's fun. That's exciting. It's like learning how to be better at imagining, at vibrating where I want to vibrate, and practicing it in every area. Not just in the areas of, I want to attract a more income or a better house or something like that, but attracting it on all areas of life. Because that's what I was talking about early on in the conversation here. I didn't really get to the other side of it, but the other side of it is we manifest everything. I want to be good at deliberately manifesting all of it. I want to be good at manifesting everything that happens in my day. I want to be good at manifesting every single thing that comes into my life. And then I want to appreciate the fact that I brought every single one of them into my life. I want to get better and better and better and better at doing this consciously and deliberately. That's my goal. And that's what I aim for every single day. Now, am I getting better? Yeah, I'm getting better at it. Have I gotten to my goal? No, but like Abraham says, you'll never get it done. I'm not worried about that. I'm just trying to get better at it.
No, absolutely. You got it spot on there. So I never get it done, and I can never get it wrong.
I like that part.
And it's something that, I used to get stuck on a lot. because I often felt guilt. I almost never feel guilt now.
That's
I'm trying to
great.
think when I last felt guilt.
I like that. I know there have been a number of occasions where people tried to make me feel guilt.
That would just make me laugh so much more. Bring it on.
It's laugh, but it's also kind of an amazement because their efforts seem so futile.
Futile, yeah, absolutely.
Just
no power behind it anymore.
It's like having an invisibility, an invisible shield, right? And they're bouncing off the shield, and you're looking at it like, that's really interesting.
My favorite comment, anybody tries to make you feel guilty, it's like, I'm actually much worse than that, You have no idea.
As Jeffrey has written, you are getting better at it. Celebrate that fact. And I agree with you 100%, 100,000%. Absolutely.
Hello, Jeffrey.
Hello, Jeffrey. He's our most loyal follower of the live stream. I love him. Not that I don't love the other people who join us on the live stream, but he's just here so consistently. And he has really good, pithy, clear ideas to share. And one of these days he's going to jump on the podcast. He's threatened it a few times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, jump on now. Now, we'll talk.
Yeah, absolutely. But this whole thing about every day being manifestations, being full of manifestations, part of that I'm still trying to get my head around. I mean, I understand it in theory, but in practice, it boggles my mind at times. And that is, I go through my life and I come to this room every single day to do the podcast, for example. And in this room, there's my laptop in front of me with the camera. There's a large screen monitor over here. There's another laptop over here. There's the curtains. And it's always the same way. The hard part is realizing I'm reimagining that every single day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still working on that one. Still trying to get that one in my conscious mind. I'm reimagining this every single day. I mean, do you find that?
Well, my mentor said to me many, 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 many years ago. I'm old now.
But you hide it well.
So she said to me, when you wake up in the morning, you must look at that wall in front of you, that curtain, that wardrobe, etc., in a brand new way. Look at it as different and new every day. And I was like, how the heck could you do that? Threw it away as a rotten concept. And, I often thought about it. It's like, how do I do that? How do I wake up and see this different? And that when you start realizing that your vibration changes, so therefore you're obviously perceiving it differently. Mm-hmm. You start thinking of it in a slightly different way. It's like, oh. So as my vibration changes, I mean, I've been through a lot of dream and soul travel and things like that where I woke up in the morning being so many other people in different lives and different places and different things that I felt so changed that when I looked in the mirror, I could hardly recognize myself. There was just so much change going on.
Yeah.
And it is scary as hell because, the consistency keeps us happy. Mm-hmm. All right. And it's the massive changes that really throw you into an absolute tiz. And, it's quite fun because you now start realizing that you can speed that up or slow it down as you want, depending on how much you focus on what you want, what you don't want, and how you want to move forward, and all the rest of it. You start having a lot more control, or understanding that you have control after the law of attraction, and then it just becomes so much easier as you just say, if I want to slow it down, I know how to do that. I want to speed it up. If I want to change the situation of this, I can do it that way. And just the big thing about law of attraction is allowing yourself to dream again and having that confidence of how to do it and how it all works. And it's just fun, you just have a lot of fun with it all because you stop worrying about anything and you just focus on moving whichever way you want to.
Mm-hmm. I've noticed that as I've been paying more and more attention to this fact that I keep recreating this, even though sometimes it's hard to believe it, I'm becoming more aware that every single day that I come into this room, even though everything is right where it always has been and it all operates the way it's operated before, it is a little different every day in ways that I can't put my finger on. I mean, for instance, I have a big screen monitor over here, okay? And I look at the big screen monitor And every single day, it's the same monitor. And yet, there is a difference. And I can't tell you what it is. It just feels, it feels like there's something different about it. So I attribute this to me just focusing my attention. What we focus our attention is what we vibrate to, right? So I'm focusing my attention on how everything is a little bit different, and now I'm starting to see everything a little bit different.
Do you start seeing how you can repair your car and
I haven't gotten there yet.
Bugs hitting the windscreen, but you
I
can start.
I love that though. I can see it potentially. Certainly, haven't read how Richard did it or how Donald actually did it, but yeah, it's closer.
But you can start getting a feel of how you can move in that direction and how you can actually do it. It stops becoming a dream or a myth or something that somebody else can do, and starts saying, like, I can kind of get a small idea about how this is going, how it works. And somebody was saying to me, "But why does mankind respect the entrepreneurs and the people that are really wealthy on the planet?" I said, "That's very easy." I said, "They're very good manifestors, and we respect manifestation as soul."
This is true.
And they can say, "Look, I've got my new Jag. I got this. I got that." You can see it, physically taste it, and touch it. And it's like, okay, I can see that. But you get those people that are manifesting on so many different levels, and you start appreciating the artist, and you start appreciating the humanitarian or the philanthropist, or you start respecting their manifestations and everybody's manifestation of getting what they want.
Right.
And the alcoholics with their manifestation. It's just like, wow, it's amazing. You're a good manifester. How do you manage to get so many bottles into the house and drink them? I just don't know.
Sometimes we become dismayed at how good we are at manifesting, but that's actually progress in and of itself, because if we're dismayed by it, it means we recognize that we did it. That's a huge step forward for most people. Actually acknowledging, oh yeah, I guess I did manifest that thing that I didn't like very much. Oh well.
The journey is fun because you start respecting every different individual and the way they are differently creating their manifesting their reality, and you start having so much respect for the most normal people. The people that are balanced and harmonious and just do normal everyday things and look after the kids' lunch and prepare this and do that and sort that out. And it's just like, wow, they're really good at what they do, And I think housewives specifically don't get enough credibility or, enough respect, not respect, they don't get seen as clearly as what they do. Because this one entrepreneur was saying, I don't know if you've watched the 5-hour energy drink guy. He's brilliant on YouTube. I love him. You've got to, Walt. You've got to.
All right.
I will put you in a room and I'll put electrodes on you until you do it.
You do realize that's the best way possible to
get you
not do it. Yes, right. I am a bit contrary in that way.
Well, he was saying that one of the people he likes employing is wives, housewives with lots of kids, because they're very, very efficient.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, we found that in the gardening business. Our best employees, 4 out of our 5 current employees, are people who either are a spouse who has a spouse who is the main breadwinner and they do this for fun on the side, or they have kids at home, or some combination of that. In one case, one has her mother at home. She just brought her mother up from North Carolina to live with her. But the one exception to that is Robert, our one male, and he is actually working 2 jobs. He has a little bit of learning to do where law of attraction is concerned. So he's efforting his way into it. But even in his case, he comes into this with love for the gardening itself, and that's the common denominator. The people who are what often are described as the housewives, the people who are tied to the house, tied to the home, they have a love for this because they love their own gardens. And they bring that love to what we do for our customers' gardens, and the customers just eat it up. So there's another example of what you're saying, and I agree with you totally. There is a work ethic in that kind of a person. There is a detail-orientedness that you don't often get from somebody who's just out looking for a gardener job, something like that. They pay attention to the stuff.
But it's interesting because when you get a large bunch of people around you and they're seeing how much you respect every different individual for their differentness, they start saying, oh, I'm sure he respects me too. And as soon as you get that, you've got their loyalty, you've got their support, you've got all the things that you might ever want from somebody else. You got it like that. It's just like that.
Louise had a conversation with one of our suppliers, actually ex-supplier, and you'll understand why in a moment. The ex-supplier was asking, I don't remember how the conversation came about, but they were asking about how much we pay our staff. And we pay our staff very well compared to where most people in the industry pay. And his response was, well, I would never pay anybody that much. Nobody's worth that much. And we just said, okay, fine, you go your way, we'll go ours. He stopped being one of our suppliers because their quality of work wasn't good enough. The quality of the product they were giving us wasn't good enough. And his staff keeps quitting every year. Our staff keeps coming back every year. So, yes, are we paying more out of pocket? Yeah, but my God, do you realize how much easier it is when you don't have to retrain your staff every year? You're talking taking months and months and months of the schedule just trying to get started up again, and by that time you're halfway through the season, as opposed to you're just running from day one. A huge difference. And that's just one tangible monetary, if you will, but also a very tangible real world difference, not counting the spiritual ones, not counting the ones that have more nebulous, less definable positive consequences. But I can point to a few of those too. Like every single one of our staff members, when they interact with the customers invariably, I can't remember the last time there was an exception to this, invariably say they love this person. They love the work that they do. And our customers, gardening is a very individual thing, right? You can create what they call the English style garden. You can do the French style garden. You can do all, Chinese style. There are all different kinds of styles. People have different varied tastes and so forth. And we're trying to meet and match all those tastes. And every single kind of customer that we have loves our gardeners. Now, do our gardeners actually like doing all those different styles? Probably not. They have their own particular favorites. What they like is doing what the customer wants and then giving it the way the customer wanted it so that they can enjoy their gardens. And it works. It just works because everybody's on the wavelength of what feels good to them. It's a wonderful combination.
Yeah. No, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. When you when you create a business, you really want to work with people who want to work with you.
Yes.
You want people that make other people happy. You want less problems. You want things to gel better. You want things to flow better. And it's always nice when you get that loyalty as well. The challenge with the law of attraction, I find, is that you've really, really, really got to understand that there is always something better around the corner for you as a businessman. So you are very happy to let good people go to continue with their vision of what they want.
Yes.
And that you will find the new, better person for where you are at the moment in your business. So you've really got to get to that really flexible place where there is abundance and you know how to tap into it and it's all no problem.
Exactly right. Yeah. And that abundance, we've talked about this before. You've actually emphasized this a lot. In fact, I think about 1 or 2 weeks ago, you went on a little bit of a rant, positive.
A rampage of appreciation.
A rampage of appreciation. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. Talking about how everything is just so easy. And you went on for about, 10, 15 minutes, which was great, and I was loving it. But that's exactly what happens. There's that momentum that builds up. And as the momentum builds up, it does get easier. It gets ridiculously easier at times. Doesn't mean that for myself, it doesn't mean that I don't run into times, because I do often, where my own resistances don't pop up. They do. they still pop up, and I still have to find ways to let go of them and release and focus again on focus my attention on what I prefer. And sometimes I don't remember to do it as quickly, so I have to deal with manifestations I don't like so much for a bit until I finally remember. But even there, overall, it's getting easier and easier. The pop-ups of stuff I don't like, they last less. They last a shorter period of time. They have less intensity. And
you are becoming a master.
I'm becoming a master, yes.
That is a sign of a master. That is what I define as a master.
I think we're all masters. I really do.
No, I think some are better than others.
No,
I think I am better than I was.
Well, yes, of course. Yes. The reason I say that, though, is we're all master manifestors.
Yeah, I'm not talking about manifesting. I'm talking about the time we spend on what we don't want.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That part is...
That is what I consider a master, is somebody who spends less time on what they don't want, or very little time on what they don't want.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. Yeah. I think it's important to recognize that we're all manifestors and we're all masters at that. But you're right, the mastery part, the true mastery part, is learning to focus our attention where we really want to focus it. It sounds so simple. Why is it that's so difficult? I haven't figured that one out yet. It's amazing.
Because people have been throwing different religions and beliefs at you that are complicated for so long. That the same thing hits you and the same thing hits me. It's just mind-blowingly simple. It's just so frigging simple that, I have to spend half the time on my podcast saying how simple it is. What else do I do?
Yeah, well, that's a good thing. Well, that's part of the reason that I even do the podcast. Just have one more opportunity to recognize the simplicity of it, and to recognize what's going right, and to recognize that I'm focusing on what I like to focus on. And boy, it all just kind of feeds in. It's an interesting thing. The analogy I keep coming up against in my mind, not up against, but I keep coming to in my mind, is the analogy of the rock that's rolling downhill, a big boulder rolling downhill. And it's been rolling for a while. Now, there's lots of different stories that come along with trying to slow the rock down, trying to slow the boulder down, and getting run over by it and so forth. But I try to imagine myself as somebody who's kind of like running along with it and slowing it a little bit and a little bit and a little bit more by degrees until it's going slower and slower and slower and slower, looking forward to the day when I'm actually going to get it going the other direction. And not worrying about the fact that it's still going 60 miles an hour. Hey, yesterday it was going 75. I've improved. I'm actually reversing this momentum. It may take a while, but I'm reversing it. And I can do that. And how cool is that?
And the interesting thing that I'm really getting my head around now is those very sensitive people have very fast rolling balls.
Oh, yes.
And they're rolling down a hill, and they just, when things aren't going their way, they really feel the pain of going down the wrong hill.
Oh yeah.
They feel it so badly, and when it's going down the right way, they feel it so good. And you start realizing that as a man, as humans, we have the ability to. The Christians would understand this as allowing the Holy Spirit to flow through you fast or flow through you slowly.
Right.
Or having the source energy flow through you fast or flow through you slowly. Mm-hmm. So you start having the control of how fast you want it, and you have a far greater control of going down the hill in the direction you want and not going down the hill in the direction you don't want. So it becomes quite a I've never felt so much in control of my life as I do now. Never. Never. It just doesn't exist. It's like I was never told that I could control this. I never realized that belief is just thoughts you think of, and didn't realize that belief created your reality. I didn't believe, I didn't know any of that. So sure. I was completely stuck out on a limb and worrying about things that I couldn't control and didn't know about. And, I just look back and I just shake my head at the ridiculousness of it all. It's like,
I hear you.
It's just crazy. And
now, there's something else that I've been experiencing intermittently, and by intermittently I mean with each instance spread out a wide amount of time from the previous one. But every once in a while, I find myself, to use the metaphor of the rock rolling down the hill, I find myself able to suspend that rock, and the momentum stops for brief moments of time. And I think to myself, how the hell did I do that?
you know, in the religion that I was previously in, they used to call that rest points in eternity.
Okay.
And I kind of like the idea that there are, if you wish, because it's just a thought you think of, and there can be points where you can rest, where you can just completely chill, the momentum slows down, and you're just enjoying the peace. You know, you're smelling the daisies, you're walking around, you're not really going anywhere. And then you get I really want to go in this direction, do this, and then you go, and you slide down that way, and then you have the rest point in eternity, and then you and you know, you start controlling this, and you start moving your boat in the way you want to, in the direction you want to, in the speed you want to. You have rest points if you want to. So yeah, they're all fun.
It's fun, and it's also challenging and disturbing all at once. The disturbing part is, why can't I seem to always reproduce it? But I can at times. And the challenging part is, how soon can I reproduce it again?
So you're not talking about manifestation because you know you reproduce that all the time. You're talking about getting what you want all the time.
I guess so, yeah. I guess that's what it adds up to. I mean, I think about it particularly in terms of stopping or reversing momentum. Because I know that whole momentum piece is really about how much am I focusing on what I don't want.
Or what you want.
Or what I want, depending on how you want to look at that, right? So in that sense, what you just said, that fits it. But there's also the sense of, well, for moments at a time, I can shift my thoughts so thoroughly, so completely, that it really the momentum of that thing stops. And for that quick moment that often lasts no more than a second or two, for that one quick moment, I can actually shift the momentum. The momentum was going this direction, and I shifted going this direction, or up in that direction, or whatever. Just, all of a sudden, it just happened. And sometimes I'm able to do it consciously. Most often, I do it without recognizing that I'm doing it until I see afterward, oh, wow, I just did it. And I'm asking myself, what did I do? I want to reproduce that. What did I do? What did I do just now?
And I can tell you, well, that becomes clearer and clearer. You start being able to be very clear about that, and you start being able to say, well, now I understand the mechanism a bit better, and now I can reproduce it quicker and easier, and so it goes on and on and on. And you understand after a while that the ability to reproduce it quicker and easier is just a belief.
Yeah.
And then you start thinking, well, I better tell myself new stories that are better, and I better start focusing on them again and again, and for at least more than 14 seconds. And, the whole law of attraction understanding just kicks in, and you just ride it, and you ride it, and you ride it, and you start realizing that, I'm on the other side now. I'm flowing where I want to, and I'm just going, and I'm really enjoying it. So,
the 14-second thing, I want to talk about that for a second, too, because I'm realizing, I have begun to realize that even that is illusory. Even that is basically putting up a resistance point.
Not necessarily. It depends how you look at every subject's two subjects.
True. It can you can look at it either way, and that's absolutely true. So how do I explain what it is I'm trying to explain? I am recognizing that the simple fact that I can focus with... I know what's missing. There's an adjective or an adverb that's missing here that describes the quality of focus.
Okay. So you're talking
Quality of
about
focus.
your quality of being able to hold a clear thought in your mind.
Yes.
It's not the easiest thing in the world, no. Abram does say quite clearly that it's easier to get people to not think than it is to think on something for 14
No
seconds.
kidding, yes. We're excellent.
And there's a reason for that. I'm starting to realize, I kind of thought, I'm already thinking more positive now, and that's what's spurring me forward. But I'm realizing I'm actually doing less thinking than I am focusing on what I want. And it's only coming to me like in the last couple of days, like, oh my God, it's actually what I'm doing. Because I always thought, no, I'm actually focusing more on what I want than I am slowing my thoughts down and lowering the resistance. But I'm realizing, no, it's actually the other way around. But it's kind of just hit me now, and I'm kind of having to work through it because it's a bit of a realization, really.
Sure, yeah.
And then you start understanding, it starts to become clear what Abram was saying there, that it's easier to think of nothing than it is to focus on what you want.
And I'm also realizing that the 14-second or 17-second or whatever the time period is, it almost doesn't matter. That's really just an average. It doesn't necessarily mean that your thought process has to be focused on something for 14 seconds. That's where the quality of the clarity comes in. The more clear you are, the less you have a kind of a need for a time interval. It just becomes unnecessary.
You're completely accurate with that. So a master manifester would only need a second.
Mm-hmm. Split second, probably.
A terrible manifester would probably need an hour.
At least.
Which wouldn't work because there's no way as a terrible manifest to be able to focus on something that they want for an hour. But,
yeah, that is a bit of a dilemma, isn't it?
So you start realizing that it depends. It's a little more dependent on the quality of the belief, which means the quality of the thought, which is based around the fact that the law of attraction exists, works for you, and works all the time, or as often as you believe it to. And that becomes an overriding aspect to the whole understanding of the law of attraction, is your belief that the law of attraction is the way it works, and I'm using it, and I believe it, and I've tested it, and I know it works, and I've got confidence in it, and this is how I'm going to be focusing. So a master manifester is somebody who's totally has no doubt in their mind on many subjects. Okay, there probably will be some subjects that the individual's going to have resistance to, but they're going to be much better at having very low resistance, a strong belief, and this is how it is, and then they just go. A lot of people do it without even hearing the word law of attraction or knowing what it is. They're just good manifestors.
This is why I was saying earlier that we're all master manifestors, because all of us have absolutely no difficulty in waking up every day and saying, this is a cell phone.
Exactly.
And every single day I believe it's a cell phone, without any doubt in my mind whatsoever.
And it's interesting when you do experiments like that, you start realizing this is what it feels like to have no doubt. This is a mobile phone.
Yes.
And it's a mobile phone, not a cell phone.
Depends what country you're in.
Well, to me, a cell phone. What's that? So
besides, you mispronounced the word mobile, so.
Mobile, I can't sound like the Americans there.
No, I'm kidding. Mobile. I do like the way the British say that. Yeah, I'm going to call you on my mobile. I like that.
Yeah. You know what the Germans call a mobile phone, don't you?
I don't.
They call it a handy.
Do they really?
Yes. That's so
handy? I love that. I love that on a couple of different levels. Probably the first level I love it on is the fact that most German words are about 55 syllables long. They got that one down to 2. I thought that's pretty good.
Well, whenever they got them short, they use English. Handy's English.
This is true. This is very true.
I had a friend of mine who was studying electronic engineering, and he said, I had to learn English very quickly because the English book's this thin and the German book's this thick.
That's right. Yes, it is.
So, yeah, it's really fun. We're going back to the mobile.
I've screwed him up for life. He's mispronouncing it now.
Cellular phone. So when you feel the vibration of this is always a cell phone, you wake it up and you have no doubt about that. You get an idea of what it's like to focus on what you want with no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So you can use existing things that you have absolutely no doubt about.
Yeah.
That the gravity is still going to hold me down when I walk out the door every morning. You don't have any doubt about that. You just don't even think about it twice. That's what it feels like to focus on what you want and manifest it.
And there's a very important, I don't want to call it a lesson. That's the best word that comes to my mind. A concept, perhaps, is the better word. There's a very important concept in there. What does it feel like to know that that's a mobile, a cell phone? What does that feel like? Well, it's a phone. I mean, it doesn't feel like anything. Yeah, actually it does. It does feel like something. That's what you're trying to identify. If you can identify that feeling, you've got it.
You're spot on. You just got it.
Yeah.
And, I don't have the Jag yet, but I want the Jag. You are so car, not the animal. You got to get your mind clear about what you want,
Spoken by the man who attracted the Jag.
Yeah. So you've got to be really clear about knowing what it feels like to not have it. How's that for a double negative?
To not have it, okay.
To have it.
That feeling of what it is to know is, I believe, the easiest route to getting to that level of clarity we've been talking about. If we can focus and believe and know and then feel, I think that's the order, get it to the point where we really just feel that this is what it's like to know that this is a mobile. This is a cell phone. This is a real device that I know every single day. There is a feeling to that. If I can just stay focused on that, I start to get a sense of what it really is to feel certain, to feel clarity, to feel absolutely 100% joyously appreciative, to feel 100% happy about it. I feel confident. I feel solid. I feel real. I feel it's all there. I just need to recognize it.
You've unlocked the secret to all your future manifestations.
That's it, right there.
And you've got it.
I can feel your phone.
You've got it.
Oh, but it's also in the pen. Oh, it's in the lamp, too. Oh, my God, it's everywhere.
No, don't confuse it now. It's the mobile.
It's just mobile. What do you mean it's an app? Oh, okay. I didn't know there was an app.
It's in Christianity. It's in Hinduism. It's in Buddhism. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something else that's everywhere. You can find LOA Today's podcast everywhere, and that's my segue into asking people who are not yet subscribers to become subscribers. Please do it. It's really, really worthwhile because you get 5 days a week worth of episodes coming right to your smartphone. So simple to do. You can search for us on any podcast platform that you currently use, if you use one. But if you're not using one currently, pick one for your device. That if you're using an iPhone, go with the the built-in podcast app. It's really simple. If you're on an Android phone, there's lots of choices. I recommend Google Play, but do whatever one works for you. Bottom line,
Google Play.
You don't like Google Play? Okay, well then.
No. Google Play is the Play Store. Google Podcast is the podcast app.
Oh, that's true. Yes.
In the Play Store.
You're correct. Yes, you are correct. Yes. But whatever, even if you can't find it in any of those places, there's a real simple solution. Just go to loatoday.net's homepage, and it will help you find the right app for your particular device.
Or you could play it directly on there.
You can actually play it directly on there. That's true. Very, very simple. So, bottom line, though, become a subscriber so that all of the episodes come right to your phone. And, by the way, also be sure to check us out on YouTube. Do a search for LOA Today podcast videos. Click the little subscribe button. Click the bell to get notified. And that way, not only can you hear us when you're listening to the podcast, but on those occasions where you have a moment to sit and watch your screen, you can see us, too, and actually see Louis sitting there with his dark brown hair, despite the fact that, is it brown or black? I'm not sure. Despite the fact that he's in, he's like 175 years old. old. He's got this dark hair. It's really amazing.
Yeah, don't judge me by this lifetime alone.
Well, I wasn't judging so much as I was appreciating. How about that?
Don't appreciate me by this lifetime.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I don't know. It's just that's the part that I always see first every time that we do a show, and I know. Okay, I gotta just kind of rag on him a little bit. Oh, but this has been so good. I like the fact that we have, I won't say had a breakthrough, but we have really done a good job today nailing down what it is to achieve that level of clarity that we all need. We've done this today better than any show I can remember recently. So thank you for helping do that.
Thank you. Well, you're excellent at doing what you do best, asking the questions, drawing out the different aspects, and putting them all together.
Well, it's easy when you have somebody easy to work with. Let me tell you that. I mean, just as you attract people into your life who are easy to help, I attract people into my life who are easy to do podcasting with, and it works.
Yeah, once the belief's there, it becomes easy.
Oh, God, yes. Yeah. It's
especially when it comes to people who are small businesses. I often find that they believe that they can't hire anybody else because they're not going to find the right person who they can trust and all these things. And, it's just a belief. Once they start believing it, bang, everything happens.
It's almost painful the way you described it, though.
I see the pain on so many people's faces as small businessmen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, I've been there. I know what that's like. Especially when what you're taught is everything requires effort. Everything, you have to effort your way through everything. You have to fight your way through. You have to survive in that jungle. It's a jungle out there.
So Walt, I had this window cleaner. I suppose I have to use the word had now. And every time he came around, I'd have a good chin wag to him about the law of attraction and, all my usual stuff. Mm-hmm. And I worked on him from a business aspect, and I went on and on and on and on. And I was saying, you're a one-guy band doing the windows, have you ever thought about expanding it, Look what everybody else is doing who's running window businesses. How do they expand it? How do they get more people? How do they do it? I said, just think about it. And I think it took him about 2 years, but he started watching everybody else, looking at everything, thinking a lot. And he now has a huge business
really
all over the place. He has our area. I mean, he doesn't even come to my window anymore. Somebody else is doing it. And he's got these long hoses of special liquid that doesn't leave any drips or anything. And they do the upstairs one. And, he's got the guys going around, done it. And then they go into the next one. And, he's now got a huge amount of people that he works with. And,
wow.
And he still charges me the same price from the beginning because he says I made his business.
That makes total sense to me. That's another way of truly expressing appreciation every single time. We appreciate with Louise's gardening business. We appreciate the people who have been with us the longest. They get the best prices. They get the best service. And we continue to appreciate them to this day, and we will continue to for as long as we own the business until we pass it along to somebody else. And even the somebody else who we pass it along to is also going to be chosen in part because they will appreciate those same people. So I'm with you. Yeah, that appreciation is huge.
There's another level to it as well. Whenever I asked him to clean my gutter, he'd do it for free. Now he says to me, I'm charging you. And I said, fine, but he still does me a really good rate. But,
sure.
He's also got the other angle where, I'm adding to my business. I can now do this.
Absolutely.
I can charge for this. I can charge for that. And, the whole business starts expanding. And it's like, it just takes a bit of thought. That's it. It was just a thought.
Well, I think one of the really big side benefits of studying this stuff is that your self-confidence goes up. And as your self-confidence goes up, your sense of self-worth goes up. And as your sense of self-worth goes up, then you don't have a problem charging what you're actually worth. You want to get to the point where you just aren't interested in providing service to somebody at a deep, deep discount. In fact, we've gotten to the point now with our business, with the gardening business, that if a customer is not somebody who's willing to spend like above a certain threshold, we don't even want to talk to them.
It's not who you want.
Yeah. I mean, they're just too small for us. which is mind-blowing.
Somebody said to me the other day, you were talking about confidence, and they were saying, God, you're egotistical. They were saying it more jokingly than anything. And I said, you can look at it as egotistical, you can look at it as confident. And they're just like,
yeah, that actually is a topic for perhaps the next time. And that is the topic of self or ego and internal being. Very often we turn that into a dichotomy, two different things. It's like, oh, I'm going to focus on my inner being. I'm not going to focus on my ego. I'm not going to focus on my myself and so forth. I'm going to be more selfless and so forth. And I think we actually set ourselves up for negative momentums on that. But that's a topic for another day because we don't have enough time to get into it today.
No, we don't.
So thank you very much. Appreciate your time. And I'm looking forward to talking to you again next week.
Likewise. Take care, listeners. Take care, Walt.
We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.
Carpe diem.